Well, hello again, math students. Welcome to another exciting edition of Math with Mr. Reeves. And we are looking at subtracting integers, and I wanted to do some problems from IXL. So I'm in 7th grade math. I'm going to scroll down to these skills right here. Remember, the starred skills are the ones that have been assigned. And I'm going to work on some selected problems from these subtraction skills. So I'm just going to start with subtraction using counters. All right, so here we go. I've got the problem -1 take away 2. All right, remember I said take away. Subtraction is take away, but you can't take away what you don't have. I've got a -1. I'm trying to take away 2 yellows. So what we do is we put in what we need. So I'm going to put in 2 reds and 2 yellows. So what I've really done is I've just added 0, right? And now I can take away or subtract those 2 positives. And what am I left with? 1, 2, 3 negatives. So there we go. All right, this time I have a 1 and I want to subtract away -2. Again, I don't have those that I need to take away, so I want to take away 2 negatives, right? So I put in 2 negatives along with 2 positives. Remember, this just makes 0, right? So now I can take away, I can subtract away those 2 negatives, and what am I left with? 1, 2, 3 positives. All right, so that's how this works. Again, now this one is great. This is an easier one because I have 4 negatives and I want to subtract or take away 3 negatives. So this one is easier because we actually have enough to take away and we're left with 1 negative. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now and exit out of this one. I'm going to go back to 7th grade and I'm going to go to the next skill, which is subtracting integers using number lines. All right, so here we go. Which number line models 4 take away 8? So first of all, we need to start at that number. Now both number lines start at 4, but if you subtract 8, subtracting 8 is going to make it get smaller. That's going to move left, right? This would be 4 plus what? 6. This one is 4 minus 8. So we choose that one, but then we also have to say what the answer is. And the answer is where you end up on the number line, so it is -4. All right, this next one, 3 minus a -5. Okay, so I want to start at 3. Notice this one does not start at 3. This one starts at 3, so I know this is the correct answer. I also know that subtracting a negative is going to move me to the right. And remember, on a number line, the answer is where you end up. I ended up at 8. All right, 3 minus -5 is 8. Okay, 3 minus a -2. Now, both of these start at 3, but I want to take away a -2. All right, remember, subtracting a negative is going to move me to the right. Now, both of these move to the right, but this one went 1, 2, 3 to the right. This one went 2 to the right, okay? So what we're looking for is 3 minus a -2 is 5. Remember, on a number line, the answer is where you end up. That one went 2 over. That's our answer. Whoops, did I not choose the box first? That's what we want. There we go. All right, last one. 5 minus 6, okay? So both of these again start at 5, but then I'm taking away 6. Remember, taking away a positive is going to make it get smaller. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, this one not only gets bigger, which it shouldn't, it went to the right instead of to the left, okay? So 5 minus 6 is, remember the answer is where you end up on the number line, -1. Okay, so that's how you do the number line problems. We are just cruising, aren't we? Going through. Okay, the next skill is just subtracting integers. They didn't tell us how we have to do it. Okay, remember that subtracting is the same as adding the opposite. So -3 take away 3 is going to be the same as -3 plus a -3. And -3 plus -3 is going to give me -6, right? -6. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get in a -6. All right, next problem. 2 minus a -5. 2 minus a -5. Again, subtracting a negative is going to be the same as adding the opposite or adding a positive. So what do I end up with? 2 plus 5 is 7. So the answer that we're looking for is 7. All right, next one. -2 minus -2. -2 minus -2. Now, I just want you to think about this one. We could go ahead and do the rule and say -2 subtracting a negative same as adding a positive, and that gives me 0. But just think about it. If you have two negatives and you take away two negatives, what are you left with? You're left with nothing. So this is one where you could just take away because you have enough, and in fact you have nothing left. All right, last one we're going to do here. We have a 1 minus a -8. Okay, subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive, adding the opposite. Subtracting negative moves me to the right. I end up with 9 positives, or I end up at a positive 9. There we go. Okay, all right, let's dive into the next skill, moving down. All right, we are now at completing addition and subtraction. So I've thrown in some addition problems now. These are going to be mixed. They're not just going to be subtraction. All right, so the question is, what do I add to -6 that will give me -8? So what happened here? It now has 2 more negatives. I had 6 negatives. I now have 8 negatives. So what do I need right there? I need 2 negatives there to make it turn out to be -8, right? Okay, now if you look here, I had something and I added 2 negatives, and when I was done, I ended up at 3. Well, what does adding 2 negatives do? It makes it go down 2, right? So if I'm going to work backwards, how about I add 2, right? How about I add 2 to that 3? And what does that give me? That gives me 5. 5 plus -2 is 3. All right, so this one hopefully is a little more simple. 6 plus what is 14? So I can do what? I can do 14, take away 6, and see where I end up with. And I believe that is 8, right? And how about this next problem? What minus 3 is 2? All right, I hope you could just do this mentally. We're just going to add that 3 onto that 2, and we get 5. All right, last one here. What do I add to -2 that will give me 4? Well, I had 2 negatives. I ended up with 4 positives. Let's see here. So whatever I put here has to be bigger, has to have more positives, has to have 4 more positives. So how about if I add 2 to this 4, right? What's the opposite of adding -2? Over here I add 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. Do you agree that if I add 6 positives to 2 negatives, I'll get 4? Well, I agree, and IXL agrees. All right, so let's do one more here because this one's a little more tricky. So subtracting a negative, so something minus a -9 is 2. Something minus a -9 is 2. So I'm going to go ahead and change this. This is the same as saying something plus 9 is 2. Well, how can you add 9 and get 2 as an answer unless what you're adding makes it smaller, right? It needs to get 7 smaller. So what I actually need to do is I need to add -7. But if I take away that 9, then what do I get? I get that -7. I hope you're starting to see that you could just do the opposite. I know some of you have talked about or learned how to solve equations. That's what we can do. Like on this one, I can subtract 4. Well, let's not worry about it. We got to get on to the next one. I'm sorry, we're going to run out of time here. One more skill that we're going to do. All right, the last skill here, add and subtract integer word problems. Everybody loves word problems, don't they? All right. Just a reminder, I should have said this before. If you get stuck, remember there is this learn with an example option where they will show you how to do the problem. So even after watching my videos, if you need some extra help, try their learn with an example, and hopefully that can help you. All right, a gopher was digging 8 inches below the ground. To avoid a tree rot, it dug 3 inches deeper. All right, what is the position relative to the surface? To solve the problem, Miles subtracted 8 minus 3 and came up with an answer of negative 11 inches. Is Miles correct? All right, so this gopher went down 8, all right, and then he went down 3 more. It sure looks to me like Miles is correct. All right, yeah, I'm going to say Miles is correct. Excellent. On a cold February morning, Colton checked the temperature on his phone and saw that it was -3. He checked again after school and the temperature had dropped 3. So -3 minus -3, and he came up with an answer of 0, or she came up with Colton. Yes, Ellen. Oh, I'm getting confused. That says Colton. That says Ellen. All right, to solve the problem, to solve Colton's problem, Ellen did this. So let me ask you a question. So they're down 3, so we're down 3, right? And then it goes 3 more. If we go down 3 and then 3 more, are we at 0 or are we at -6? All right? So what Ellen should have done is -3 minus 3. So this is the answer that we are looking for here. All right, one more problem. Okay, Connor is playing this card game called At Face Value. At the end of each round, players earn positive points for the remaining number of cards, but negative points for their face cards. At the end of round 1, Connor earns -5 points. At the end of round 2, he earns -6 points. What is his score now? To solve the problem, Michael added -5 plus -6, and got -11. Well, that looks good to me, right? -5 plus -6. Good job, Michael. All right. Again, guys, you could see how this works. Looks, I'm at a score of 32, and I've only done 3 problems. So nice of them to give me so many points. All right, so I hope this is enough to get you started on working on these problems. Actually, I hope it's more than getting you started. I hope it's enough to get you over the finish line. All right, but as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Have a great day, everybody. See you next time. Bye.